Welcome to this explainer. Right out of the gate, we are going to radically shift how you view your examinations. I want you to completely stop thinking of the Cambridge syllabus, whether you're tackling the AS and A-level Mathematics 9709, or even building your foundations in codes like 0580, 0606, 4024, 4037, or 4040 as just a standard test of your calculation skills. We're changing the paradigm today. Instead, I want you to imagine it as a high-stakes corporate pitch. You are the lead consultant, and the Cambridge examiner, they are your board of directors. Now, think about two typical students taking on a brutal past paper question. We'll call them Alex and Sam. Alex is the kind of student who overloads the page with raw mathematical facts. They just dump every equation they've ever memorized onto the paper with absolutely zero analysis or structure. Then you have Sam. Sam rushes. Sam is so desperate to get to the final answer that they completely miss the command word requirements and skip half their working out. Both of them are failing the boardroom pitch. The board isn't just looking for a magic number at the bottom of a page, they're actively looking for a bulletproof, logical argument that justifies absolutely every single step you take. In this session, we are going to break down the highly specific strategies you need to master this boardroom pitch, transform your answers, and secure those top-tier marks. To really understand the immense stakes of this pitch, let's look at one of your most critical assets in the 9709 syllabus, Section 3.3, which covers trigonometry. And keep in mind, this is exactly the same conceptually as Section 2.3, accounts for approximately 15% of the total marks in the examination. Think about that for a second. 15%. That is a massive chunk of your final grade sitting in just one topic area. You simply cannot afford to leave these marks on the table because you rushed or because your working was messy. Mastering this specific section isn't just about passing the paper, it is a massive strategic revelation. It's about leveraging a major, predictable portion of the exam to catapult your grade to the next level. If you can lock down this 15% with absolute confidence, you completely change the math of your overall final grade. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our structural roadmap for today. 1. Core principles. 2. The method mark strategy. 3. Technical methodology. 4. Examiner warnings, and 5, the final blueprint. Let's get right to it. Section 1, Core Principles. Mastering the theoretical foundations. To win over the boardroom, you have to genuinely understand the foundational assessment framework the directors are actually using to judge you. Academic benchmarks for this syllabus absolutely require logical, structured reasoning. Let's be clear, the examiners are not looking for superficial breadth. What does that mean? It means they don't just want you to throw every single formula you know at the paper and hope something sticks. That's what our student Alex does, and it's a massive waste of time. Examiners prioritize analytical depth. They want to see the theoretical architecture of your argument built on precise definitions and crystal clear causal relationships. This brings us to a massively important quote derived directly from the syllabus framework. It says, "Top-performing students exhibit connected, conceptual understanding transferable to unfamiliar contexts." So what does that actually mean for you when you're sitting in the exam hall? It means pure memorization is a dead end. If you just memorize formulas without understanding how they connect, you will completely panic the second an unfamiliar context appears on the page. The principal examiner reports highlight year after year that candidates who reference cross-topic connections achieve significantly higher marks. You need to show the board that your mathematical tools can solve literally any problem they throw at you, not just the exact ones you've seen in a textbook. Now, you might be wondering how they actually grade this stuff. Take a look at how perfectly balanced the assessment objectives are. The cognitive domains for complex sections like trigonometry target 3 distinct areas almost equally. You have knowledge and understanding at 33%, application at 34%, and analysis at 33%. If you only know the theory, the knowledge part, you are literally capping yourself at just a third of the available marks. You have to actively apply that knowledge, and then, crucially, you must analyze the data. You must prove you can execute multi-stage analysis to get those top-tier grades. This is where a framework like Peel comes in handy, even in mathematics. Make your point or state your approach, provide your evidence or equation, execute the systematic explanation, and link it back to the specific context of the question. Hitting all 3 of these domains is how you show true mastery. Before we continue, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ace the Exams, at acetheexams_IGCSE to excel in your Cambridge examinations. Click that subscribe button and hit the bell icon right now. Section 2, the method mark strategy, pitching to the board. All right, this is where we transition from understanding the theory to actual real-world execution. This is about pitching your mathematical argument to the board. Think about it. In a real boardroom, you must show the CEO exactly how you arrived at your final profit projection. Your Cambridge examiner operates exactly the same way. You absolutely must justify every single mathematical point with clear, undeniable, systematic workings. These are known in the grading rubrics as method marks. They are quite literally the most important concept we will discuss today. Method marks are marks awarded specifically for demonstrating the correct mathematical process and systematic working, even if your final numerical answer turns out to be entirely incorrect. Let that sink in. This is your ultimate safety net. By utilizing this strategy, you are actively protecting your overall grade from a simple, silly calculator slip-up under exam pressure. If your process is logical, if your steps flow clearly from one to the next, the board still rewards you heavily. This is the difference between losing 1 mark for a math error and losing 5 marks because you didn't show your thought process. And this brilliantly illustrates the difference in execution. Consider the bad pitch compared to the winning pitch. Remember our student Sam? Sam rushes. The bad pitch overloads the page with raw mathematical facts, skips the working out entirely, and completely ignores presentation formats. It is a chaotic mess. Even if the final answer at the bottom of the page is right, the examiner hates grading it. It doesn't inspire confidence. It's a bad pitch. The winning pitch, however, completely deconstructs the data. It shows systematic working step by step, making every single assumption explicit. If you were to watch a student rewrite a bad pitch into a winning pitch, you would see those brutal red pen marks transforming into green check marks simply by adding structural clarity. This winning pitch secures marks because it communicates professional mathematical competence. It literally saves your grade even if a minor calculation error happens at the very end. You are selling your methodology, not just your final number. Section 3, Technical Methodology, the Execution Blueprint. Now we're getting into the nitty-gritty. This is the execution blueprint that actively develops your professional exam skills. The practical application of your mathematical knowledge means you are expected to apply correct formats, decode command words accurately, use appropriate terminology, and evaluate your own performance on the fly. Here is the 5-step chronological sequence that the absolute top-tier students use to systematically process unfamiliar, terrifying contexts. First, deconstruct the question. What is the command word actually asking you to do? Are you evaluating, showing, proving, or calculating? Second, extract the relevant data from the noise. Pull out the numbers and relationships that actually matter. Third, select your analytical framework. Which specific formula or concept from your 9709 syllabus applies here? Fourth, execute with clear notation. Please, do not invent your own shorthand. Use standard, globally recognized mathematical language so the examiner doesn't have to guess what you mean. Finally, present with correct terminology. This sequence, deconstruct, extract, select, execute, present, ensures that when you open that paper and see a monstrously complex trigonometry problem that you've never seen before, you don't freeze, you don't panic, you simply fall back on your training and process it systematically. It's an absolute game changer. Part of mastering that methodology requires elite-level data interpretation. In an exam, if I gave you a 60-second challenge to scan a complex data table or a tricky text prompt, what would you look for? When you are given texts or tables, your primary job is identifying the underlying relationships within that data so you can make an evidence-based deduction. The board expects you to extract the core trends almost immediately. They want you to interpret those relationships correctly without getting distracted by outlier data, and then draw a conclusion that is entirely, 100% backed by the mathematical evidence you've just mapped out. It's like a puzzle, and your interpretation skills are what put the pieces together. Stop scrolling. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ace the Exams, at acetheexams_IGCS to excel in your Cambridge examinations. We've helped thousands of students improve by 2 to 3 grade boundaries. Join them right now by subscribing to at acetheexams_IGCS and turn on all notifications so you never miss our weekly exam strategy sessions. Section 4, Examiner Warnings. Top 3 red flags from the principal examiner. Let's see what the board hates. We are going directly inside the principal examiner's mind right now to look at the exact red flags that cause highly intelligent students to literally hemorrhage marks every single year. The most crucial point is captured perfectly in this quote straight from the Cambridge Principal Examiner report. Listen to this closely. Students lose marks by not showing working. Even if your final answer is wrong, method marks can save you. If we played a game right now called Find the Flaw with a sample student paragraph, the biggest flaw wouldn't be a wrong number. It would be a missing step. Arrogance, the act of doing complex multi-step calculations all in your head and just writing down the final answer, is absolutely the #1 reason students fail to get top marks. It doesn't matter how smart you are, you must show the board your work, period. Beyond simply skipping workings, here are the top 3 specific, fatal mistakes straight from the official reports. Number 1, Using the wrong approach for the context. This is the classic trap in heavy sections like trigonometry. Students feel the time pressure, they panic, and they immediately start plugging numbers into a formula that simply doesn't fit the specific data given in the prompt. Always verify your approach matches the context. Number 2, forgetting to check format and presentation conventions. Proper headings, correct mathematical terminology, clear annotation, these strict conventions actually matter to the board. It shows professionalism. If your paper is a scribbled mess, you are essentially telling the examiner you don't care. Number 3, providing answers not specific to the given context. Your final answer must actually solve the highly specific problem asked by the command word, not some generic version of the problem that you happened to memorize from a textbook the night before. If they ask for coordinates, give coordinates, not just an x value. Attention to detail is everything here. Avoiding those massive mistakes builds into what examiners refer to as critical analysis. Top-scoring candidates demonstrate true evaluative thinking by running through a rigorous mental checklist. Imagine having just 30 seconds to speed write a perfect analytical paragraph. How do you do it? You do it by questioning assumptions in the data. You consider alternative mathematical interpretations. You identify the limitations of the evidence provided. And above all, you justify absolutely every single decision with hard evidence. If the question requires comparative analysis, you don't just list facts. You identify similarities and differences. You use comparative connectives, and you draw powerful conclusions about relative importance. This isn't just math anymore. This is high-level corporate boardroom strategy right here on the page.
Section 5, the final blueprint. Deconstruct, solve, evaluate.
Pulling all of this together, the ultimate problem-solving framework you must use from today forward is incredibly simple but incredibly powerful. Deconstruct, solve, evaluate. First, deconstruct the question by breaking it into logical steps based on the exact command words. Second, solve it systematically, ensuring your working is perfectly, beautifully clear so you lock in every single method mark available. Finally, evaluate your answer. Does this number actually make sense in the context of the question? We have covered the core theoretical principles, the absolute necessity of the method mark strategy, technical execution, and the examiner's biggest red flags. So I leave you with this provocative final thought. Will your next exam answer survive the intense scrutiny of the boardroom? Can you pitch your mathematics with total confidence? Students who implement these mathematics strategies see an average improvement of 2 grade boundaries, but only if they practice consistently with our weekly videos. Here's your final reminder. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ace the Exams, at acetheexams_IGCSE to excel in your Cambridge examinations. Subscribe right now to at acetheexams_IGCSE and click that bell. Don't let another exam pass you by. Drop a comment below with your target grade for mathematics and the biggest challenge you're facing. Our team responds to every comment. Like and share this video with a study partner. Ace the Exams, your Cambridge success starts here.